The message arrived across the stars, weak and desperate. The Vazari collective, once proud and mighty, now reduced to begging. Maya listened as the alien transmission played again. She stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station 7, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her brown eyes narrowed as the hologram of the Vazari ambassador flickered before her. The ambassador was tall and slender, with blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the light of her homeworld. She had 4 arms and large almond-shaped eyes that conveyed deep worry. Humans of Earth, we seek your assistance. Our worlds face extinction at the hands of the Drakari Empire. They consume all in their path, leaving nothing but barren rocks. Their ships number in the thousands, their weapons tear planets apart. We have tried to fight, we have tried to negotiate, nothing works. Please, we have heard stories of your kind. Stories of a species born on a death world that should have killed you 1,000 times. Over you survived, you thrived. Now we need that strength. Maya turned to her second in command. Olivia, who stood nearby reviewing data on her tablet. Do we have confirmation on the Drakari threat? Asked. Maya Olivia nodded, her blonde hair falling across her face. Yes, satellite imagery shows a massive fleet heading toward Vazari space. They will reach the outer colonies within 3 days. The room fell silent as the weight of the decision settled on their shoulders. Humanity had only achieved interstellar travel 30 years ago. They were newcomers to the galactic stage, viewed with a mixture of fear and fascination by the older races. The Vazari had been among the first to establish diplomatic relations. They shared technology and knowledge, but they also made it clear they considered Earth a death world, a planet so hostile that it was a miracle any intelligent life had evolved there, let alone survived. The high gravity, the extreme weather patterns, the diverse and deadly flora and fauna, the bacteria and viruses that constantly evolved to bypass immune systems. All of these made Earth a nightmare to most alien species. Maya remembered the first time she had visited a Vazari colony. World, their gravity was so light she could jump 10 feet in the air. Their atmosphere so pure it almost made her dizzy. Their predators so docile that children kept them as pets. Sharon, their chief science officer, stepped forward. Her face grim. The Drakari are not like the Vazari, she said. They evolved on a world almost as harsh as Earth. They are warriors by nature, conquerors by choice. She paused, looking at the star map. But their world was not quite as extreme as ours. They are strong, but not as strong as humans. Their bodies are tough, but not as adaptable as ours. They are dangerous, but they have never faced Deathworlders. Maya considered the options. Earth had a fleet of only 50 warships, compared to the thousands reported in the Drakari Armada. But Earth ships were built by people who understood war in a way few alien species did. Built by those who had survived on a planet that tried to kill them every day. She thought of her childhood home in Arizona, where scorpions, snakes, and heat waves were just normal parts of life. She thought of her grandmother who had survived cancer twice. She thought of her first day in space when the other diplomats had been shocked at how casually humans handled radiation exposure that would kill most aliens. Kate, the weapons specialist, reviewed the specs on the Drakari ships. Their technology is impressive, but their tactics are predictable. They rely on overwhelming force, not strategy. Their ships are designed to intimidate, not to be efficient. Linda, the pilot added, they have never had to evolve or adapt. They just build bigger guns. Maya made her decision. She pressed the communication button connecting her to Earth Command. This is Commander Maya Lewis requesting permission to deploy the fleet to Vazari space code Alpha 7. 1. The Drakari will not stop with the Vazari. If we do not make a stand now, we will face them alone later. The response came quickly. Permission granted, Commander Lewis. Show them what Deathworlders can do. Within hours, the entire Earth fleet was mobilized. 50 ships against thousands. But these ships were crewed by humans. People whose ancestors had survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and their own violent tendencies. People who had been forged in the crucible of a world that demanded innovation, adaptation, and sheer stubborn will to survive. The Vazari ambassador Neelan was brought aboard the flagship commanded by Maya. The alien woman could barely contain her shock when she saw how the humans lived aboard their vessels. Your radiation shielding is minimal, she gasped. You have artificial gravity set to Earth standard. Your atmospheric mix contains toxins. Maya smiled. These are comfortable conditions for us. We can function with less if needed. Neelan stared in disbelief as she watched a human engineer casually handle a component that would burn Vazari skin. The ambassador had to wear a protective suit just to be aboard the human vessel. When they reached the edge of Vazari space, the Drakari fleet was already engaging the outer defenses. The Vazari ships were falling one by one, their elegant designs no match for the brutal efficiency of Drakari weapons. The Earth fleet held position behind a small moon, observing, gathering data. Maya and her senior officers studied the enemy movements. They Drakari fight like they have never known true fear, observed Kate. Their formations are rigid, their responses are textbook. Linda smiled. That works in our favor. Maya addressed her fleet commanders. The Drakari have numbers, we have adaptability. They expect enemies to flee or fight head-on. They do not expect what we are about to do. The plan was audacious, bordering on insane by alien standards. The Earth ships would not engage in a traditional formation. Instead, they would break into small groups using asteroids, debris fields, and the magnetic interference of the nearby star. To conceal their movements, they would strike fast and disappear before the Drakari could respond. Most alien species avoided fighting near stars. The radiation disrupted their systems. The heat was dangerous to their ships. Humans had learned to use such hazards to their advantage. The Earth fleet moved out. Each captain had significant autonomy to adapt to changing circumstances, a concept foreign to the hierarchical Drakari. The first strike came from Maya's ship emerging from a debris field, directly into the path of a Drakari cruiser. Before the enemy could react, her weapons officer Betty had locked onto the cruiser's propulsion system and fired. The larger ship listed to one side, its engines damaged. Other Earth vessels appeared seemingly out of nowhere, striking with precision and vanishing before the Drakari could organize a response. The human ships flew patterns that seemed random, even suicidal, diving close to stellar flares, using gravity wells to accelerate beyond safe parameters. On the command deck of her ship, Maya watched as the confused Drakari fleet began to break formation, trying to track the unpredictable human attacks. Neelan stood nearby, her four hands clutching a support rail, as the ship executed another high-G maneuver. How can your bodies withstand this? She asked. The inertial dampeners are barely functioning at these speeds. Maya did not take her eyes off the tactical display. We are built to endure. We heal quickly. We adapt. The Drakari, now aware of the human presence, began to consolidate their forces, trying to isolate and overwhelm the smaller Earth fleet. But the humans refused to be drawn into a direct confrontation. They continued their hit-and-run tactics, targeting propulsion systems, communications arrays, weapon platforms. Maya received a transmission from Olivia, who commanded a strike team on the far side of the battlefield. Commander, we have identified their command ship. It's heavily shielded, but there's a weakness in their sensor array. A direct hit could blind them temporarily. Maya smiled. Send the coordinates. The Earth ships converged on the massive Drakari command vessel, approaching from multiple vectors. The enemy detected them and began firing, but the human vessels were too fast, too erratic in their movements. Linda pushed their ship beyond specified limits, the hull creaking under the strain. The Drakari weapons tracked them, but could not lock on effectively. Now shouted, Maya. Betty fired a concentrated pulse at the exact coordinates. Olivia had identified the Drakari command ship's sensors went dark, temporarily blinded. At the same moment, all Earth vessels launched a coordinated attack on the ship's engines, communication systems, and weapon platforms. The giant vessel began to list its systems failing. Maya opened a channel broadcasting on all frequencies. Attention Drakari fleet. This is Commander Maya Lewis of Earth. Your command ship is disabled. Your formation is broken. We have not yet deployed our main weapons. You have two choices. Retreat now and live. Continue fighting and be destroyed. The choice is yours. For several tense minutes there was no response. Then slowly the Drakari ships began to pull back. The invasion force that had seemed unstoppable now retreated. Before the 50 ships from Earth on the bridge, the human crew watched in silence as the enemy fleet departed. Neelan, the Vazari ambassador, stepped forward, her large eyes filled with awe and gratitude. "Your species is terrifying," she said, "but today I am grateful for it." Maya smiled. "We did not evolve on a gentle world, ambassador. Our history is not peaceful, our bodies are not fragile, but we survived. We adapted. And today, we use those traits to protect rather than conquer. That is the true strength of humanity. Not that we are dangerous, but that we choose when to be dangerous." The victory celebration was short-lived. A transmission came through from one of the outer Vazari colonies. "Commander Lewis, we have a situation. The Drakari have taken hostages on Vazari Prime. They are demanding the surrender of all human vessels, or they will execute the captives." Maya's face hardened. She turned to Sharon options. She asked. Sharon brought up a holographic display of Vazari Prime. "The Drakari have established a base in the capital city. Their ships are in orbit providing cover. The hostages are being held in the central government building. Can we get our people on the ground?" asked Maya. Sharon nodded. "We have stealth drop pods. They can bypass Drakari scanners, but once on the ground our people would be exposed to Vazari atmosphere." Neelan stepped forward. "I can provide environmental suits for your soldiers." Maya shook her head. "The suits would slow them down, restrict movement. The Drakari would spot them immediately." "What are you suggesting?" asked Neelan. Maya looked at her senior staff. "We go in without suits," the Vazari ambassador gasped. "The atmosphere, the gravity, they will kill you." Kate smiled. "It will be uncomfortable, ambassador. Not lethal. We can tolerate your atmosphere for short periods. The lower gravity will actually help us move faster." Maya selected her ground team carefully. Olivia for her tactical skills, Betty for weapons expertise, Sharon for technical knowledge, and Linda, whose piloting would get them to the surface undetected. They would be joined by a dozen of their best soldiers, all volunteers. The drop pods were launched from Maya's ship, falling silently through Vazari Prime's atmosphere. The Drakari scanners failed to detect them, hidden as they were by the electrical storm brewing over the capital city. They landed. In the outskirts of the city, the hatches opening with a soft hiss. Maya was the first to step out. Her lungs burned slightly as she breathed the Vazari air, too rich in oxygen for human comfort. Her muscles felt strange in the lower gravity, but she could function, and that was all that mattered. The rest of the team emerged, each adjusting to the alien environment in their own way. "Move out," Maya ordered, her voice low. "They have to reach the government building before the Drakari realized humans had landed." The streets were deserted, the Vazari population hiding in fear. The team moved quickly, taking advantage of the lower gravity to leap across gaps between buildings to scale walls that would have been challenging on Earth from their position. On a rooftop, they could see the government building, a massive structure of crystal and metal surrounded by Drakari guards. Sharon scanned the building with specialized equipment. "I count 30 hostages in the main chamber," she reported, "and approximately 50 Drakari guards." Maya nodded. "We need a distraction," Betty smiled. "I can provide one." She pointed to the Drakari ships hovering above the city. "If we redirect power from the city grid, we could create an electromagnetic pulse, local, not strong enough to damage the ships, but enough to disrupt their communications." Sharon nodded. "I can do that, but it will only give us a few minutes of confusion." "That's all we need," said Maya. The team split into two groups. Maya, leading the assault team, Olivia commanding. The rescue team, Sharon, moved to the city's power distribution center, quickly bypassing the alien security systems. On Maya's signal, Sharon triggered the pulse. A wave of energy swept outward from the center of the city. The lights flickered. The Drakari ships above wobbled in their holding patterns. As predicted, their communications went dark. "Now," shouted Maya. The assault team attacked from the east, drawing the attention of the Drakari guards. While they engaged the enemy, Olivia's team entered from the west, moving silently toward the chamber where the hostages were held. The Vazari hostages looked up in shock as humans entered the room, moving with a speed and agility that seemed impossible in their environment. The Drakari guards were taken, By surprise, overwhelmed before they could sound an alarm. "Get them out," ordered Olivia, as her team secured the hostages. Outside, Maya and her soldiers fought with a ferocity that stunned the Drakari. The alien warriors were used to opponents who relied on technology, on weapons. These humans fought with those tools. Yes, but there was something more. Something primal in the way they moved and the calculated risks they took. A Drakari commander twice Maya's size charged toward her, his armor gleaming, his weapon raised. She did not retreat. Instead, she moved toward him, using the lower gravity to enhance her speed. Her body adapted to the alien atmosphere, drawing on reserves evolved over millennia, on a world that had tried to kill her kind. Every day of their existence. The Drakari commander fell Maya standing over him. Her team had secured the perimeter. "The hostages are clear," reported Olivia through the comm system. Maya nodded. Retreat to extraction point A's. The human teams withdrew. With the freed hostages, the Drakari forces regrouped. Their ships above had restored communications. Their ground forces were moving to cut off the humans. Escape Maya and her team reached the extraction point, just as Drakari reinforcements arrived. The aliens outnumbered them 5-1. Sharon looked at the approaching enemy. "We won't all make it to the ships." Maya's expression was calm. "We didn't come this far to fail now." She turned to Betty. "Do you have those special packages we brought?" Betty nodded, pulling out small devices from her pack. Maya had insisted they bring. The Drakari were closing in, their weapons raised. Maya activated the devices, small spheres that began to emit a high-frequency sound inaudible to humans, but devastating to Drakari sensory organs. The effect was immediate. The alien warriors dropped their weapons, clutching at their heads. "Get to the ships," ordered Maya. The human team, along with the Vazari hostages, boarded the extraction vessels. The ships lifted off just as the Drakari house. Reinforcements arrived too late to stop them. Once aboard the flagship, Maya ordered immediate departure from Vazari Prime. The Drakari ships gave chase, but the human vessels, faster, more maneuverable, easily outpaced them. In the safety of deep space, Maya called a meeting of her senior staff and the Vazari leadership. The rescued officials joined via hologram, still shaken but alive. "Thanks to the humans, the Drakari will regroup," said Maya. "They will come back with a larger force." The Vazari Prime Minister, a tall female with silver skin and 6 arms, nodded gravely. "We cannot withstand another attack." Maya looked at Sharon. "What have we learned about the Drakari from these encounters?" Sharon brought up tactical displays. The Drakari rely heavily on their sensor technology. They have superior numbers but inferior adaptability. They follow fixed strategies. Their ships are powerful but slow to maneuver, and most importantly, added Olivia, they have never faced an enemy that fights like humans. They don't understand our tactics, our willingness to take risks they consider insane. Maya nodded thoughtfully. "We need to take the fight to them." The Vazari officials looked alarmed. "Attack the Drakari homeworld?" asked the Prime Minister. "That would require a fleet 10 times your size." Maya smiled. "We don't need to attack their homeworld, just their command structure. Their fleet operates on centralized control. Their leadership makes all decisions. We've already seen how they falter." When communications are disrupted, Sharon understood immediately. "You want to cut off the head." "Exactly," said Maya. "If we can locate and neutralize their command structure, the rest of their fleet will be directionless." The Vazari looked skeptical, but intrigued. "How would you find their command center?" Olivia stepped forward. "During the rescue operation, we captured Drakari communication devices. We can use them to trace the signal back to the source." Sharon nodded. "I can modify our scanners to follow their command frequencies. It would lead us directly to them." The plan took shape quickly. The Earth fleet would split into 3 groups. The first, led by Olivia, would create a diversion, drawing Drakari attention. The second, under Linda, would protect the remaining Vazari worlds. The third, smaller group, commanded by Maya, would follow the Drakari communication signals to their source and strike at the heart of their command. The Vazari provided additional ships, smaller, faster vessels that complemented the human fleet. The alien women watched in amazement as human engineers modified their technology, combining it with Earth designs in ways they had never considered as preparations continued. Maya spent time with Neelan learning more about the Drakari, about their history, their culture, seeking any advantage. They believe themselves superior to all other species, explained Neelan. They see the rest of us as resources to be exploited or eliminated. Maya nodded. That's why diplomacy failed. They don't view you as equals. Neelan's large eyes studied Maya curiously. And how do humans view us? Maya considered the question. We see you as different, not lesser, not greater, just different. We evolved on worlds with different challenges. Those challenges shaped us into what we are. Are all humans like you asked? Neelan ready to fight for strangers across the stars. Maya smiled. No, we have our disagreements, our conflicts, but we recognize a greater threat when we see one, and we understand something the Drakari don't. What is that? That diversity makes us stronger. The universe doesn't favor one path of evolution. It favors adaptability. The Drakari seek to impose their vision, their way of life. That's their weakness. They cannot imagine. Alternatives cannot adapt to changing circumstances. The signal tracking was complete. Sharon had located the Drakari command center. It was not on their homeworld as expected, but on a massive space station hidden in an asteroid field. The three Earth fleet groups moved into position, Maya's small strike force approaching the asteroid field, using the natural cover to mask their presence. Olivia's larger group began their attack on a Drakari supply depot, drawing enemy ships away from the command center. Maya's ship slipped deeper into the asteroid field, navigating hazards that would have deterred most alien vessels. The humans used the radiation and magnetic disturbances to their advantage, masking their signatures. The Drakari command station came into view. A massive structure twice the size of Earth's largest space stations, bristling with weapons and surrounded by defensive platforms. Standard tactics would fail here. A direct assault would be suicide. Even with the element of surprise, the human ships were outnumbered. Maya smiled. This was exactly the kind of impossible situation that humans excelled at. She turned to her crew. We go with Plan Delta. They looked at her with determined expressions. The plan was risky beyond anything most alien species would attempt. But these were humans. People who had evolved on a world that had tried to kill them daily. People who had faced extinction-level events and survived. People who understood that sometimes the only way to win was to do the unexpected. The human ships split up, each taking a different approach vector to the Drakari command station. Maya's vessel accelerated directly toward the station, appearing to attempt a suicidal ramming maneuver. The Drakari defenses activated all weapons, focusing on the apparent threat. As they did, Sharon activated a specialized device that Maya's team had developed specifically for this mission. The device emitted a signal that mimicked a catastrophic reactor failure on Maya's ship. The Drakari sensors registered an imminent antimatter containment breach. The Drakari response was immediate and predictable. They raised shields around their command station to protect against the expected explosion. What the Drakari did not understand was that this was exactly what the humans wanted. Their shields would block the explosion. Yes, but they would also trap what came with it. Maya's ship launched specialized torpedoes. Not explosive devices, but carriers. Each contained a dozen combat suits with humans inside. The torpedoes passed through the Drakari shields before they fully activated. The carriers broke apart, releasing their human cargo. The combat suits, small enough to avoid immediate detection, landed on the exterior of the station. Maya, in her own suit, led the boarding party. They cut through the outer hull using tools designed to work in vacuum and radiation in conditions that would kill most alien species. They entered the station, moving quickly through maintenance tunnels and service corridors. The Drakari internal sensors designed to detect ship-sized threats failed to register the human intruders. Outside, the remaining Earth vessels engaged the Drakari defense platforms, drawing attention away from the station itself. Maya's team reached the central command center. The doors were sealed, designed to withstand bombardment from outside. Sharon examined the locking mechanism. I can bypass this, she said, but it will take time. Maya shook her head. We don't have time. She turned to Betty. You have the breaching charges. Betty nodded, unpacking small devices from her equipment case. The charges were set against specific points on the door. Everyone back, ordered Maya. The charges detonated not with a massive explosion, but with a precise, focused force that shattered the door mechanism. The door slid open, revealing the surprised Drakari command staff. The humans moved in quickly, securing the room before the Drakari could react. The alien commanders, tall armored warriors with ridged skin and multiple eyes, stared in shock at the human intruders. "How did you get in here?" demanded the lead commander. Maya removed her helmet, revealing her human face. The Drakari commander stepped back in surprise, clearly recognizing her species. "You underestimated us," said Maya. Simply being human, her species' reputation now spreading throughout the galaxy, was enough to give the Drakari pause. Sharon moved to the command console quickly, bypassing security measures. "I have control of communications," announced Sharon. Maya nodded. "Open a channel to all Drakari ships." The channel opened. Maya faced the communications array, knowing her image was being transmitted to every Drakari vessel. "This is Commander Maya Lewis of Earth. We have control of your command center. Your leaders are our prisoners. We do not seek your destruction, only an end to your aggression. Against the Vazari. Against all peaceful species. You have two choices. Withdraw your forces from all occupied territories and return to your borders, or face the full might of humanity." The response was immediate. Confusion spread through the Drakari fleet. Some ships began to retreat, others held position uncertain without clear commands. The lead Drakari commander watched this with growing alarm. "You cannot hold us forever," he said. Maya smiled. "We don't need to. The Vazari and other species you've threatened are already forming an alliance. Under human protection, humanity will share our technology, our tactics, our adaptability. Their worlds will no longer be easy targets, and your empire built on intimidation will crumble." The commander hissed. "You are from a death world. You should understand. The strong survive, the weak perish." Maya shook her head. "That's where you're wrong. We didn't survive on Earth because we were strong. We survived because we cooperated, because we protected each other, because we adapted. And now we bring those same traits to the stars." Within hours, representatives from the Galactic Council arrived to negotiate terms. The Drakari, facing a united front of species now under human protection, had no choice but to accept the peace terms as the diplomatic proceedings began. Maya stood with Neelan, watching as the various species interacted. The Vazari ambassador looked at her with newfound respect. "You have changed the balance of power in our galaxy," she said. "Some will fear you for it." Maya nodded. "Perhaps, but fear is not our goal. Understanding is. We don't want to rule the stars, we want to explore them, to learn." To grow, Neelan's expression was thoughtful. "For creatures from such a harsh world, you show remarkable restraint." Maya smiled. "Earth taught us many lessons, Ambassador. Some through pain, some through joy, all through challenge. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Yes, but also wiser, more compassionate. We understand suffering, so we seek to prevent it as they prepared to return to Earth." Maya received a message from Earth Command. New reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Other species previously terrorized by various threats now sought human protection. Human advisors, human technology, human ingenuity. The stars had feared the Death Worlders. Now they called for them. Maya looked out at the vast expanse of space. Humanity had found its place not as conquerors but as guardians. The species forged in the crucible of Earth now brought its strength, its adaptability, its determination to the galaxy. Neelan joined her at the viewport. "You could have destroyed the Drakari. Why didn't you?" Maya considered the question. "We know what it means to face extinction. We've brought countless species on our own world to that point. We've stood on the edge ourselves more than once. That knowledge, that experience, it gives us perspective. The Drakari can learn, they can change. As we have." The Vazari ambassador nodded slowly, beginning to understand. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, Deathworlders had become not something to fear, but something to cherish.